Some people burst, but I thrive under pressure. I hold them down from distance like I was playing catcher. I pray to God, life is crazy, you know he'll test you. For real. Yeah, you know he'll test you. I'm a living legend in the making, don't care what you think about it. The only time I step inside a bank is for deposit. Failure's always present, but for me it's not an option. Cause I gotta feed my family and I know the critics watch. They don't want to see you win, so they gon' try to stop it. A humble guy until you cross that line, then I'm a pop. Choking out the competition on my Serge Ibaka. Don't associate with lames and haters, they are all in box.
Oh, you're on. Weenie, were you watching the actual video?
Oh yeah, I was watching the actual video. It was good.
Okay. All right, DeAndre, take it.
All right, guys, welcome to episode 4 of the Process Show, where you're chilling with your host DeAndre. You have co-host Kiani, and we got my man Greg Breheim on the show today. A little bit about my guy. He is the author of Optimization for Athletes on Amazon.com. He is a CMT candidate, professional, technical analyst in stock trading. This man loves talking about fitness, health, stocks, having fun, intellectual conversations, anything, you name it. He's got 2 cats. So all you cat people out there that love cats, he's your guy, little Peter and little Parker. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, they're ready.
I recognize some of these people in the chat. I recognize Honda Moose. Thank you.
Oh
guys.
yeah, they're coming and hanging out with us. So thank you guys so much for coming from Weenie Trades over to here.
Yo, dude, we really appreciate having you, man. I'll be the first one to say that when it comes to day trading and stocks, I have little knowledge. So this is going to be really, really cool for me to learn something. I have friends who have who do a little day trading, and they've tried talking to me about it. But honestly, if you're not a professional, I'm just like, I really don't know what you're talking about. So I put that to the professionals. I've never attempted it because I'm always afraid of there's so many clever people out here that can take your money. And so I've just stayed away from it. But I went on YouTube and I watched a little bit of I watched 2 of your shows on Weenie Trades, and I thought it was really cool, man, how you were talking about you can do this stuff without using your own money. Now, of course, there's monthly fees that you pay, but you can do this without using your own money. But before we get into all of that, tell everyone who don't know, or the people that follow me who don't know, who is Greg, where are you from, and what is day trading?
Great question. So hi, you guys. My name is Greg. I'm a trader. I'm a live streamer. I've been trading for 5 years. I used to be an athlete in college and back in high school. And I just love the puzzle of the market each and every day. I'm from Minnesota, still living in Minnesota. And basically what is day trading? You're basically trying to capitalize off of movements within the stock market. You're trying to profit. And a lot of people have a misconception about day trading. It's only as risky as you make it. And if you don't have the education, then it definitely is risky. So I'm glad that you said that you're staying away from day trading because you don't know it. Because a lot of people, they just jump in and then they just get destroyed. And I don't want that for anybody.
No, yeah, that's cool.
I think the worst thing I've seen, it was actually on one of those documentaries where they show lottery winners. And they talk about the fault of lottery winners, like, hey, you've won all this money and now you want to open a restaurant. You've never even worked as a waiter. What are you doing? And you'll see people win large sums of money, and then they start investing in trading stocks with no education on it. Like, hey, I'm just going to put money into things, and it's crazy. So they fall into that trap.
No, seriously, it happens a lot. Again, I've had 2 buddies of mine that do it, and they say they're doing really well. And I'm just like, dude, again, if I don't know anything about it, I'm not just going to jump blindly into something. That is just a recipe for disaster. And I'm one of those guys, like you were saying before we went live, that like you love numbers. Numbers give me anxiety. I'm just going to tell you, like, it gives me major anxiety. I'm a writer. I'm great with words. But when it comes to numbers, I'm just like, somebody else take the lead on this, please. Please take the lead.
I'm from Florida. Don't ask me to do math. Okay.
That's smart. Leave it to the professionals. I mean, I wouldn't want to operate on somebody if I wasn't a doctor. I wouldn't try to, do any dentistry work if I'm not a dentist. I wouldn't try and do it all myself. You want to ask other people about that.
Yeah. So tell us what attracted you to day trading? I know you said you did it. You kind of got introduced when you were in college, but what was it that actually attracted you about day trading?
Yeah, really, I was intrigued by day trading. And in terms of, this was before there was a lot of ways to make money on the internet, at least that I knew of. And this was one of those opportunities where it started with the money, but then it really just grew into a passion, because each and every day the market is different. It's like a whole new puzzle. So like, I like playing chess. Chess is like playing a puzzle against someone else. That's what the market is, but with all the participants in the market's moving because of supply and demand. If a bunch of people buy and everybody buys, the stock goes up. Think of GameStop. The only reason it's going up is because everybody's buying. So you got to think in terms of, what is the crowd doing? You really need to have you need to be really good with psychology in the market. And I really just enjoyed that aspect of it, of like outthinking your opponent. Where are people positioned? Where are people trapped? And just capitalizing off of those moves and then managing your risk along the way. So that's what I really loved. It was the puzzle aspect, but it started with the money, and I'm glad it moved to just the puzzle,
Right.
This is what's so funny about what he just said. If you take out all the times he mentioned money and just the strategy he's implying, he could be talking about anything. Because you could have been talking about football, you could have been talking about any type of sport, just relationships. Like, you're watching what's happening, you're positioning yourself, you're noticing trends, and that's all things that are relatable to you, right, DeAndre? That's what you had to do when you were a wide receiver in NFL. You studied the cornerback. What do they do when you go to your left? Is he good on short routes? Can I take him deep? So that's kind of amazing that it's all the same lingo. You just have to understand where to apply those strategies.
Absolutely. So for me, I put everything in terms of football. Like, that just helps me understand life. I really feel like sports in general is just an analogy for life, to be honest with you. And so, of course, we got to talk about sports, because you said you played football. So what sport did you play in high school when you were in high school?
Yeah, so in high school, I played football in the fall, I swam in the winter, and then I ran track in the spring. I also did shot put when I was in track. So yeah, I kind of was like the jack of all sports. I was the best at swimming. I was decently good at football. Track, I was okay. I was able to get a little bit faster in some of the sprints, but football was the most fun. You got the big crowd, you got the lights, you got the hype, the crowd. And like you said, I love making sports an analogy for anything, because especially football too. Like, I'll sometimes even say during the trading day, I'll be like, hey, the Bulls need to play offense right here, and the Bears are playing goal line defense. If the Bears fail here, the Bulls take it over and the market's going to squeeze higher. And so, yeah, I really just love football the most, but swimming was also fun. Good full body workout.
Now, again, so swimming, don't really know much about it. I watch it during the Olympics, but do I really know what's going on? No, I don't. The only thing I'm thinking is like, man, they're swimming a very long time. At this point, I would have caught in a cramp and drowned. That is what I'm thinking as I'm watching. However, when you played football, what position did you play?
Yeah, so I played fullback, but my main position was D-line. So I played defensive end. I wasn't the biggest guy, I was probably like 190 pounds, so not like very light. But I think about D-line, it's a lot of leverage. And if you're fast enough, you can get to the quarterback, you can hold that edge over. And so, yeah, D-line, it was fun. I also just wasn't very good with my hands, so I wasn't good at catching the ball. And so they're just like, hey, this dude can bench a lot, he can squat a lot. Throw him on the line. Let's see what he can do.
Dude, high school has to be No, go ahead, Keani.
Well, when you swam, what did you swim? Did you swim relay? Were you a backstroke person, breaststroke, butterfly?
So I'm a sprint freestyler. I'm a sprinter. I sprint in running. I sprint in freestyle. It's just a great more efficient way of staying in shape, you know, like, because it's high intensity interval training when you're sprinting. And when I learned about that, I was like, I just want to be a sprinter. I don't want to be a distance athlete. And you tend to get a little bit more jacked. You tend to burn a little bit more fat, build a little bit more muscle easier. So I just gravitated towards sprints. So sprint freestyle was the main one, but butterfly is pretty good as well. It takes a lot of upper body strength to throw yourself over the water.
For those out there that don't know, swimming is the only exercise that burns every muscle in the body, that works every muscle in the body, just about every darn muscle. It's so great.
The question I would ask is how do you train for swimming, you know?
Yeah. So in swimming, back in college, it was pretty brutal. We would wake up at like 6 a.m. We'd hop in the pool. We'd wake up at like 5:45, hop in the pool at 6 a.m., swim for 2 hours, 6 to 8 a.m. So you're basically like just doing long distance stuff. You're doing intervals, like swim like half a mile and then rest for like 2 minutes, swim another mile. Or if you're doing sprinting, swim like laps, swim like 10 laps. And then, so that was the morning practice. And then the afternoon was 2.5 hours. It was way too much cardio for me, but yeah, that's how you train. You do drills, you just keep going, and your heart rate's, it's really uncomfortable because your heart rate's just super high the entire time for like 2 hours. So that gets into the competitive eating. You're burning a lot of calories, not just from working out for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 4 hours a day. It's absolutely insane. And not just the amount that you burn, though, it's the thermic effect of the pool. Being in a cold pool, body heat leaves you. And so you're just burning, I'm probably burning like 7, 8,000 calories a day. So I was just pounding food, just like 10, 20, 30 plates at the buffet dinner. And
it's so funny that you said that, because when I was personal training, I always told people that wanted to lose weight, drink cold water all day, because people don't realize it's a matter of heat. When you're burning calories, that's how you lose weight, and that your body has to adjust to drink. We're not supposed to drink cold water, but when you drink cold water, your body has to accommodate that, so it has to adjust. I was laughing when you were talking about how much you ate, because I had a friend who was a swimmer, and back in the day, I'd eat an extra large pizza by myself, but this dude used to pound like 6 boxes of pizza, and I'm like, you have a 12-pack. How are you on a 12-pack? It's
just
so
annoying. Just a furnace. That's it. Yeah, the high metabolism. Just yeah.
And that's awesome. All right. So I know. So again, you do day trading. You played sports. Can you help me? Someone, again, I'm ignorant, and when it comes to day trading, but I know sports. I know football. How can you relate the two? If I'm asking the question correctly.
Yeah, no. So I mentioned earlier about how you got to think about supply and demand as offense and defense. So if everybody wants to buy a stock and they do buy the stock goes higher. If everybody wants to sell a stock, the stock's going to go lower. Think of that as the offense and the defense. Think of like offense as the demand, the defense as the supply. And there's a lot of different caveats to it, but I guess a good way of putting it is you want to try and get as much as you can. You want to run as far as you can when you have the ball, right? And so when you enter a trade, you want that trade to go in your favor as far as you can before you get taken out. And so when you exit the trade, think of that as you being like tackled when you're running with the ball. And so if you can get a touchdown, that means you got a fire trade. You got a really good trade. You hit the touchdown, you hit your end profit target, and boom, you're paid for the day, for the week, however good of a run it was. Now, sometimes, you can get tackled in the backfield. You can get the ball and you can just get tackled. That's when you enter a trade and it starts to go against you. And you've got to make that decision when to cut your loss. Otherwise, some people, if you don't have that discipline to cut your loss, they're like, oh, it'll come back up. And it never comes back up, and it just keeps going down and down and down. That's really dangerous. Just accept getting tackled in the backfield so you don't lose too many yards. I'm sure your coach probably always says, always just run forward. Like don't do the run backwards shenanigans. And that's the same with trading.
When you think you're Barry Sanders and you want to run 10 yards backwards because you're about to be tackled, just take the 3-yard loss.
Exactly. But
Dude, Barry,
he wants to go for it.
dude, Barry was the guy that it was like he gained 3, lose 6, break 1 for like 89 yards.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
so
well, you know what?
That's you can do that in trading too.
Because
chop,
I was just
chop, boom.
just about to say that. That's a good analogy where you both just said it, because trading can be like the berry. Hey, it's dipping a little bit and then boom. Oh, okay. So in day trading, it's not like when you invest in a stock and you just keep it there for a long period of time. This is something that you've got to watch on a daily basis, hourly basis.
Yeah, so there's 3 different types of trading. There's investing, which most people know. That's like a 401k. Let's buy these ETFs, mutual funds. Let's hold it, and this is our retirement in the future. There's swing trading, which is you're buying a stock, or you could be selling a stock, which we can get into in a bit. But you're buying a stock and you're trying to hold it for at least a day, but most likely like a week, 2 weeks, or a month. That's called swing trading. Day trading is you're just focused on that day. You're buying in the same day and selling in the same day. Mm-hmm. And so you're closing all of your trades in the same day when it's day trading. And I do all 3. I invest, I swing trade, and day trade. Sometimes I'm making more money when I'm day trading. Sometimes I'm making more money when I'm swing trading. Sometimes the investments are the best performers for that month or particular period. So I like to think of it as like trading in general. If you're involved in the markets, investing, it's kind of you're just day trading, but on a longer time horizon. You're trying to buy low and sell your investment high over just a much longer period of time. So it all just comes down to what's your time frame. And then we can niche it down even further from day trading into scalp trading. So scalp trading is like the hyper. I do sometimes a lot of scalp trading where it's just in and out. Like it'll be like sometimes 10 seconds. And sometimes 1 minute. Like you see on the chart that there's about to be like a quick little quick pop in, pop out, boom, you just make like $50 in a minute. And of course, if you enter and then it goes against you, you cut it, you get out right away. So that's scalp trading. That's like for the hyper gamers.
How do you? Okay, so this is I'm like blown. I'm being honest with you. How do you know when is a good time to get out? Because we just talked about how like you get tackled in the backfield, you may gain 1, you may lose 6, and then you break 1. For people who are just getting into this, when do you know that, you know what, I need to just cut my loss and let go? How do you know that?
That's a really good question, and it's completely different for every single trade. You know, if you're investing in something, how do you know when to get out? Are you just going to let it go to 0? Is that when you get out? Most of the time, that's what we call a stop loss. And so when you enter a trade or you buy a stock, you got to decide, how much am I willing to lose? And so let's say like I buy a stock for $100. It's $100 a share. I buy 1 share. Let's say I only want to lose $10. Well, I would place a stop loss in the system. If the stock crosses underneath $90 a share, get me out. I'm only willing to lose $10. So setting a dollar risk is good, but most of the time you should actually be placing it based off the chart. So this is where technical analysis comes in. I'm a CMT candidate. It's called a chartered market technician. And basically that means that you're really good at analyzing trends, analyzing at which point in the chart are we about to break upwards or break downwards. And so it's a really difficult question because each trade is different. Sometimes people will buy a stock and they'll say, hey, I'm not getting out for a loss. I'll hold it to 0. That's fine as long as you decide that beforehand. A lot of people like to use resistance areas. So a resistance is where a stock goes up and it starts to slow down. That's a resistance area. People like to take profits at those certain resistance areas because the price is more likely to come down than not. You need to be good at understanding the probabilities. Go ahead.
So that's like when it plateaus. Like, hey, all right, we're on the flat surface. We're not climbing anymore. Let's stop right there.
Yep.
So that would be a good time to kind of I want to say cut. Sorry, Keon, I didn't mean to cut you off. Would that be plateaus and it's like, all right, it's not doing anything, it's not going anywhere? Would that be considered a good time to be like, all right, let's just go ahead and get out?
And again, this is very.
I want to ask you a question about I want to caveat to what he just said about the plateau, because I wanted to ask you, do you go, we always talk in sports, analytics versus the eye test, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you working on gut feelings, or are you applying more strategy? What's the mixture? Like, how's that work?
Really good question. And that there's this thing called quantitative trading where you're just placing rules and your trades strictly follow those rules. And then there's discretionary trading where it's all based off gut feeling. For me, it's a little bit of both. Intuition comes with experience. I've been doing this daily for 5 years. And so you start to build that intuition. But yeah, it's based off technical analysis mostly. So technical analysis is using prior past trends to predict future price action. And of course, there's no guarantees of what's going to happen in the future. I can't predict what you guys are exactly going to say. I could have a rough idea of what you're going to say. That's the psychological aspect of it. The same applies to the market. I have an idea of what the market's going to do, but I don't know exactly what the market's going to do. So that's why you need to just react. And so again, back to that plateau, it depends on the scenario. Sometimes when a stock pushes up and then plateaus, I like to call that a rally, base, and sometimes there's a rally, base, and then a rally of equal magnitude. And a rally is just a thrust upward, a push upwards in price. So a rally, a base, and sometimes there's another rally. What I like to do is if I buy a stock at the beginning of the rally, it rallies, and then it goes sideways. What you can do then, I was talking about that stop loss, that area where you get out, that's your risk. You can actually trail up your stop, right? And so you can trail that up just underneath that consolidation point. And that way, if it comes down, boom, tag me out for a profit. But if it keeps going higher, hey, I'm still in the trade and I'm making more and more money and I can just trail up that stop loss. So it's a very protective way of making the most amount of money with the least amount of risk, which is always the goal in trading. It's not just to make money, it's how much risk are you taking to make that money.
We have a comment from Tony Price, says resistance levels are where sellers are waiting to sell. That is why the price is likely to go back down. So that's that plateau you're talking about. There's a bunch of people that might be waiting to sell it. But again, you're saying you may not know that because you don't know what people are actually doing. You're kind of applying your strategy. Yeah, go ahead, DeAndre.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's very well said. Yeah, resistance is just an area where sellers have sold the price off earlier. And usually it's easier to show with the chart, but yeah, if a stock had dropped from a certain level, let's say that in that prior example where I said a stock, I bought it for $100, my stop loss is at $90 because I only want to lose $10. And let's say prior to that, it had failed at $110, like it had dropped off sharply and from $110. If we come back up to that $110, odds favor that it's going to have another sell-off because resistance points tend to create psychological pain from people that have bought it earlier. So from people that bought it earlier, they remember, oh, I remember the price sold off when we were last at this price. We're going to sell it again. And it may be the same group of people. It may be another group of people. It could be an algorithm selling. But using resistance is a great way to take profits on your trade once you're making money.
Okay.
So that there's support, there's resistance. I also have a whole course on this as well. I'd be happy to send you guys if you guys want to take a peek.
It's actually on the screen. There's your course information on the screen. I was going to say Weenie gives courses. It says you got different levels, the OG beginners course, the options course, and the Weenie bundle.
Then the bundle's just those two together. And options is like a whole nother world of trading. And that's actually what I specialize in is options trading. So normally when traders are trading the market, they're trying to buy something and sell it higher, or you can short sell, which is sell high and then buy low. But in the options market, not only are you trading the direction, but you're trading the rate at which that direction changes. So you're trading how fast the market's going to go up, how fast the market's going to go down. You can make money if the market goes up slowly. You can make money if the market goes down slowly, and anything in between. You can you can be a prediction market. And there's a lot of cool things that you can do with options. You can make money any way in the market. It's super cool.
Dude, no, this really is cool. So for me, I love, again, I'm that writer. I'm that guy that like wants to know the story. Because I think it's very important for people to know, well, how, like, there are people that go to your show, they watch it, and they are just interested in the techniques and what you're teaching to help them make money. And then I feel like there are people who are like, well, I want to know how did Greg get into this? Like, so for me, I'm one of those people that's like, okay, what you're saying is cool. Some of it makes sense. A lot of it does not whatsoever. But tell me, when you were first starting out, what was that process like? Did you have someone that mentored you, that kind of pulled you in, or were you like, man, I love numbers, and and I see this, I understand trends, and I'm gonna just jump in? Did you have a mentor when you first started out, or did you just go into it blindly because you love numbers?
Really great question. And it really stems back to when I was back in college. So when I was in college, we had taken this investing and personal finance course. And this is where we did fundamental analysis on these stocks, on a list of stocks. So that's just looking at the company's balance sheet. Like, how much does this company make? Like, for example, GameStop doesn't make as much as Apple does. And so you'd analyze the different metrics of the company. And I just really love doing that. And this is back, my stock that I personally had was Amazon. And based off the fundamental analysis that I did, I saw that Amazon was a buy. And this was when Amazon was $1,000 a share. And probably right now, it's probably at like $1,500 a share, maybe a little bit higher, but it went through a stock split. That's not important. But I noticed that they were only focusing on the fundamentals, and the technicals I found were a lot more interesting. They actually gave more predictability of what the stock was likely to do. So I was in computer science and I was running models on different stocks. I did a holiday stock analysis and projected that Target stock, Walmart stock, Amazon stock, they're all going to go up over the next 3 years. How can I capitalize off of this? So then I downloaded the Robinhood app. It was free. It's great for, young investors that don't have a lot of money, and because college is pretty expensive. So I downloaded Robinhood. I took a few courses online. So I am just going at it by myself. I downloaded the app Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade, and Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade is a great analytical platform. You can just watch as many YouTube videos as you want on it to learn the platform. And I just did simulation, 10,000 hours. So the 10,000 hour rule, or at least I've heard of it, that to be really good at something, you've got to put in the work, 10,000 hours. So I was doing simulation types of trades. What does this breakout setup look like? What does this dip buy setup look like? What about the MACD? What about the RSI over here? What am I going to do when the stock hits VWAP? All these terms you can Google or look up or ask about me later. But I put in that 10,000 hours and just kind of got used to trading. And I have a lot of YouTube videos on my channel explaining my journey. It was not smooth sailing at the beginning. When you're new at something, I got destroyed in the market. I lost $1,000 within like 3 months, which was a lot to me back in the day. And then I lost $3,000. I lost $1,000. So I talked about the times that I blew my account and had some really big downs because, sometimes things just happen and you don't know what you don't know. I realized that I was risking too much and not taking, I was not holding my winners long enough. There's a lot of things that you need to learn. And I wish I would have spent a little bit more time in the simulator than using my own money. However, in the end, it ended up working out because as you get better and better and better, those losses at the beginning aren't so bad. I think the worst thing that could happen to somebody is they got a lot of money. They start with, $100,000 or $1 million or half a million or even 10 grand. If they start with a large sum of money and then they just lose a lot of it, that's way more devastating than starting small, losing small, then you get better. And now the past like 2 years, there are some single days where you can make $1,000, $3,000, $5,000. And I was just thinking of how devastated I was back then and how far I've come and to where I am today. So to answer your question, I did not start with any mentors. However, just last year, actually I would say towards the end of last year, I found a mentor, and his name is Romulus. He has a theme of being a Roman gladiator, and he's also on YouTube. And he really just taught me the ins and outs of professional trading. He was a hedge fund manager. He'd been in the business for 30 years. So kind of thinking of like the hero's journey. You go through some troubles. You've got to find a mentor that'll teach you the ways, somebody that's done it and been through the trenches, someone who's likely successful. And that really kickstarted my trading even more. So I'm the best trader I've ever been, but sometimes today, obviously. But in terms of, it's ironic because during the live streams, my channel blew up during the GameStop craze. So GameStop was absolutely going insane.
Oh, why did you? Why? I just told you on your show that was a sore spot for me. Why would you bring it up?
I had to. I'm sorry. It was a pivotal moment.
DeAndre, on his show earlier today, I talked about how I didn't invest in GameStop during that time, even though I thought to do it, because I saw a bunch of people that I knew doing it, and I didn't do it. And a couple of those friends, they don't work anymore. But then I also told them the story about when I joined the Army and I got my signing bonus of like 20 grand or whatever. Me and my friend, we were deciding on something to invest in, and we knew nothing about investing. So he said, let's invest in this iPod thing. And I was like, iPod? No, it's going to be all about the Microsoft Zune. That's going to be the big thing. So we disagreed. I put about 15 grand in the Zune. He put about 18 grand in the iPod. I did 20 years in the Army. He left the Army after about 4 years. So that's how that went. So the thing I like about Weenie on his show is he always says what I think is going to happen. He never says this is going to happen. Yeah. This is going to happen. And he tells people this all the time. He's like, hey, I think if you're investing in this, you need to stop right now. But hey, do what you want.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that's going to happen. So he never tells people exactly what to do with their money. He just gives his educated advice and what he thinks the market's going to do. And that's well. But what I wanted to ask you was, how does because day trading, I know you said it's different. Does mergers work? Because I remember the best money I made is when T-Mobile was kind of speculating that they might buy Sprint. And so I went and bought a bunch of T-Mobile stock. And at the time that I got it, it was like $50. And when they merged, it went up to $125.
That's awesome. Nice trade.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the mergers can be some great news catalysts. They do come with more risks though. So you know how you profit off of that trade? Sometimes for whatever reason, algorithms can detect that too many people are buying, and they'll actually take the other side of that trade and sell. And the market could have actually come down. The T-Mobile could have come down just as much. So those earnings trades, or I guess merger trades, those types of trades, you don't exactly know that they're going to happen. You can speculate though, but I'm glad that it worked out.
Were you smart enough? Because I wasn't smart enough. I wish I was smart enough when COVID started to invest in some of these streaming companies in Zoom and Teams. I wish I was smart enough to do that. I did buy a bunch of stock in Carnival Cruise when the Panorama hit. I bought a bunch of stock in that, and I'm just holding on to it. Just holding on.
You know, none of this is financial advice, but CCL's downtrend, Carnival. Oh, that's rough. I mean, again, I would just ask you, how much do you want to risk? It can go to zero, and that'll be bankruptcy.
It can't go to zero, but I'm hoping a year from now, people start going on cruises like they used to.
And I want to touch on that as well. And I've never been on a cruise. I would love to, though. It sounds like a lot of fun.
I've never been either.
Yeah,
well, if the stock does what I needed to do, you'll both come with me. All right.
Now, here's the thing: a lot of people like to think about the story and why a stock might go up or do something, but actually come back to the supply and the demand. Are people going to buy CCL stock? That's the only way that you're going to make money. People could actually increase their usage of cruises And CCL could report better earnings, but the stock doesn't actually even have to go up. They actually have to buy, buyers have to buy the stock. So when you constantly think of that fundamental reason, it's good to have that in the back of your mind. But let's go back to the stocks like Zoom that went, I don't know, from like $50 to $300. It's not just, there's a story behind Zoom in that, okay, Zoom is becoming more popular, but more so think buyers are buying the stock. People see that it's in an uptrend. Technical analysts see that it's forming bullish patterns, which is actually way more important than Zoom being used more. And so Zoom went on a big downtrend afterwards. We found out that Zoom was in a bubble. So when people buy it up for too long, it was actually just a bubble. So think in terms of supply and demand. But yeah, that I hope CCL recovers though if you're in it.
That's why you're the expert and we're the novices and that don't know anything. So
Yeah.
Now you guys know though.
So you were talking about story, which when I hear story, I for whatever reason equate that to emotion. Are there moments where you've bought based on emotion or traded based on emotion, or are there excuse me, are there moments where you've bought or traded just pure logic of watching? Have there been moments between?
Really good question. So 2 times where I used a lot of emotion was GameStop and Google stock. So let's start with GameStop. So GameStop, actually, the very first time that I bought it, it was just a logical trade. I said, well, buyers are buying it up. Fundamentally, actually, GameStop was very weak. GameStop was actually almost on the verge of bankruptcy. Yep. That's why it was so unheard of why it was going up. People, fundamental analysts were saying, hey, GameStop's going to go down. And so the first time around, it was actually just pure logic. Breakout, technical analysis, made some money. The second time around is a little bit tricky. GameStop had taken a dip, and I was looking at the fundamentals, and I was like, wow, GameStop already went through its squeeze. I think I'm going to short GameStop. And for those of you that don't know, you can actually make money as stock prices drop. You're trying to sell high and buy low. So in normal market conditions, you're trying to buy low and sell high, right? Think of that as called buy to open, and then you're selling to close. You're closing the trade. I'm done with it. When you're short selling, you're selling to open, and then you're buying to close, and you profit the difference. So a great way, an example of that would be, okay, I go, when you're selling a stock, you lose money when it goes higher. You lose money when it goes higher, and you make money when it drops. That's another big reason why GameStop went up so much. Short sellers that were selling to open and trying to buy it lower to profit, the stock was pushing higher, and they're like, crap, I'm losing money. What do you do when you're losing money? You cut your loss. You get tackled in the backfield. What do? You buy. You got to buy to get out of your short. And so extra buying shoves the price higher. So always think who's trapped. But yeah, a big emotional part of trading for me is I was trying to short sell GameStop, but at just a little bit too low of prices. And guess what? The stock went higher. I was just like, there's no way this company's like it's overvalued. Like I'm gonna double down on this short. And so I sell again. Guess what? If it goes higher, you lose money, and you keep losing money. And you got to think, okay, it'll drop eventually. But what if it doesn't? Sometimes some stocks are just living off of just constant uptrends because short sellers keep trying to step in. And so that was a very emotional point. I took a fat loss. I probably lost like $4,000 trying to short GameStop. And it was just a learning lesson. Had it just been a normal logical trade, I would have shorted it the first time, taken a small little loss, $100, $200, move on to the next trade. So that was an emotional trade. Another emotional trade was with Google stock. So Google owns YouTube, right? And YouTube makes a lot of money. They make 30% off of all the commissions of live streams, of those super chats. They make a lot of money off of all those ads. And so Google is racking in the cash, and it had a beautiful bullish chart setup. So this was logical as well. And so I really sized in heavy. In terms of leverage, I was probably trading Google with $500,000. Do I have $500,000? No. So I was way overstepping my bounds with Google stock. That's an emotional trade. You're so confident something's going to work. And sometimes the universe has a weird way of punishing you if you're way too in. Google stock, it did the breakout, and then the next day was a big gap down. There was some bad news. I think there was some bombings in Afghanistan or something. It was really sad. And so I woke up to a fat L, and that was about a $4,000 loss. And I was like, that was just very emotional. I never would have gone in with that much size if it was anything else. And so keep emotions out of trading. Sure, you can use emotions just a little bit with your intuition if you have the experience, but trading something, you got to leave the emotions out the door. Emotions are for acting. Emotions are for your girlfriend or whatever. Emotions are for other places.
I got two things for you, Weenie. I love calling you Weenie, by the way. I told him today he's my second favorite Weenie. So
it's okay. I accept that.
In the beginning, because I know you don't do this now, it's almost like I don't want to associate it with gambling, but you know how you win a lot of money and you're such in a hurry. I'm a terrible person in Vegas because as soon as I win something, I'm out. I'm done. Right? You're not getting it back from me. I don't care if I want to go in a casino and I make $500, I'm gone because that's $500 I didn't have. Screw you, right? Were there times where you made a lot of money and you're so itching to put it back into something that it was bad that you did that?
Oh yeah. So funny thing about gambling, I wrote a paper on this, how trading can be or isn't like gambling. And most of the time people are gambling in the markets. You know, the people are using the markets as a personal casino. And the difference between people that make it out alive and make money are who's the house and who's the player. So the house has a consistent edge over a long period of time. I know the probability in which a trade is going to work or not. The casino knows the probability of the blackjack table. The casino knows the probabilities of the slot machines. It's very low. Stay off the slot machines. So that's you'll find success in trading once you start to have that house edge, because then over a long period of time, you'll be able to generate that cash flow. But yeah, I've totally made money, a lot of money one day, and the next day put it into something that wasn't as good. And I took bigger size because I'm like, I got this extra cash. I got an extra $2,000. And then boom, the next day it's like minus $1,500 or minus even $3,000, sometimes even more. And you need to control that. And so what a lot of traders like to say is use that as a bankroll. So let's say you made $2,000 one day. What I like to do actually is I like to withdraw half of that and put that in my bank account. That way it's protected. So I put 1,000 into the bank account. Hey, that's locked in. Now I can work with this 1,000 for extra size later on or to do any other trade. So always try, you can decide if you want to be more protective or more aggressive. And if you're doing this for income like I am, I've got to be more protective. However, if you've got another income source and you're a good trader, some traders like to really push it. And that's where you hear those stories of somebody turned $10,000 into $1 million. They are really good at pressing their bankroll, and they just never lost whenever the moment was critical. So that's a key point. Set aside some money after you win big. That way, if you keep playing the game, even if you lose, you still keep some money. You don't want to lose all the money that you've just put in.
Man, I so many questions, man.
Oh yeah. You have to come on stream. You guys can come on the live stream.
I most definitely will.
Yeah, feel free to come on stream and ask questions as much as you want. I'm more than happy.
This might sound like a dumb question because people always talk about the end of the day. Chris always talks about the end of the day. Are you trading? You're keeping some things till, of course, the next day, right? You're not trading everything.
Oh yeah. In fact,
I want to ask you about when something's going great, when you go to sleep, and then when you wake up, you're like, "What the hell happened?
What happened?"
Tell us about one of those. Yeah. Tell us about one of your best experience with that. It might be your worst experience.
No. So I'll give two examples. One, I'll just refer back to the Google trade. The Google trade where I went heavy size in. I was up $3,000 by the end of the day. The next day, I had lost that $3,000 and $4,000 of my own money.
Oh,
that was the trade. So that was the gap. That's called a gap down, a gap against you. The markets trade overnight while you're sleeping. So you can hedge with the futures market. But yeah, that's just the worst. You wake up, you thought you're like, oh yeah, can get paid. And then you're just like, oh, and it's just devastating. You're just like, and so that was a rough time. Back to the Google example. A great time though was actually Disney stock. So it was I was long Disney stock. This was probably about 2019, and long just means I make money as it goes higher. And I had some pretty decent size, not a whole lot, but not a little. And I had these option contracts where it gave me a right to buy 100 shares of Disney at a locked in low price. And the next day, Disney had gapped up 10%. Now, Disney barely moves. Disney's a stock that moves only like $1 per share per day. Disney was up like $20 the next day. And when you're multiplying that by the contracts, I had a very valuable contract. So I had turned $300 into $3,000 overnight from Disney gapping up. So that's a scenario. I was like, oh, and I was just so ecstatic. We were hop, skipping, and jumping all day. I was dancing. I was like, ooh, I'm doing this. Let's go out to dinner. I put some aside for later. It was just really exciting and nice. That being said, as you mature and just get older and you're just used to the markets, I just try to leave emotions all out of it. Whether I won big, lost big, cool. Next trade, cool. Level-headed.
Again, I'm coming into this really new. Can you explain the process for someone who is just freshly new into this? How would they start? Where would they go? What would they do to get going?
Great question. So if I was just getting started, I would first look at a simulation account. So what kind of broker can I just practice with? Paper money, fake money? That way you can just get used to how the orders work, how to buy, how to sell, how to do things. So a great way to my favorite platform for doing that is TradeStation. So type in TradeStation, look up TradeStation. You don't need any money to open up a simulation account. You just got to type in your information and you'll get that. And so that way you can practice in the simulator, just get used to the market, practice each and every day, find out what questions you even have to ask. And then once you start knowing what you kind of want to get into, what kind of style of trading do you want? Do you want to look at the markets every day? Do you want to look at the markets once a week? There's different trading styles for all of these types of people. Some of my mentors, they only check once a day. They check once a day for 5 minutes at the end of the day. That's it. Other traders are more active like me. I'm trading like 2 hours in the morning, 3 hours. Sometimes I'll trade 4 hours. Other traders are going to be more what's called position traders, longer term. They're trying to hold for a couple of months. So they may only check like once a week. They'll be like, hey, how's my stock doing this week? Oh, did bad. Oh, well, it hasn't hit my stop loss, my risk. Oh, it has hit my target. So I would recommend the simulation. That's how I'd get started. And I would also, of course, obviously I'm biased. I have a course that you can purchase from me, but also you can just ask me questions for free on my live stream. Just keep asking questions, keep figuring it out more and more. The education, if you invest in your education, you will get it sped up much quicker. I can refer you guys, even if I'm not a good fit for you, somebody else might be like, oh, this is the kind of person that specializes in this. This person specializes in this. You'll just get a feel for what you want to do. So I would recommend TradeStation and to do the paper trading. I would also recommend Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade. You can, there's this thing called on demand, and you can go back to any period of time in the market and you can actually practice and trade that market in a simulator. So you can say, hey, I want to go back to the COVID lows or something like that. How did the market look when the market was crashing that day? How did it trade like? And you can go and practice that. So I think that's very, very valuable. What if in football you could go back in time to any game and play against people in a simulator? That'd be so cool.
That would help because I'm not hoping a whole nother panorama happens, but you know, things happen in the future and wars get started, things happen. And if you can go in simulators when we've had these crises or things happening, we can kind of help you when these things happen in the future. I know you said, well, even if they don't do it by you, but I like that you have a voice because just hearing you talk, I understand everything you're saying. Now, I don't get all the acronyms, but things are making sense. And we talked about this. There's so many people out there that try to teach you or guide you, but it sounds like they're speaking a foreign language because they don't break it down easy enough for you. I talked about going in my friend's room who has 4 monitors up, and that's where they're all day, and it looks like they're in the Matrix to me. I'm like, what are all these graphs and pinpoints, and you're moving needles around? And so that can be intimidating for people. And like you're saying, hey, just like with any venture, go in there, get educated. Anything you do, it starts education first. Get educated. And if you want to get educated by going to Weenie, you can just Google Weenie Trades and you're going to find his website. And he has courses on there. We have it up on the screen, what some of those courses are like. And then tell people where they can find you. Do you do your lives at every time of the week? Go ahead and talk a little bit.
So the easiest way and best way to find me is just search Weenie Trades Live. And I'm trading live each and every day, every single market day, Monday through Friday, at least 2 hours in the morning. Sometimes it's 4 hours. Sometimes I'll stay the entire day. Especially if we got a big crowd hanging out, like, I want to talk to the new people and, get them caught up to speed. Otherwise, during the day after that, I go to the gym and other stuff like that. But yeah, YouTube, Weenie Trades Live. You can shoot me an email, weenietrades2020@gmail.com. You can join my Discord. There's lots of ways to get in contact with me. And I'm more than happy to answer any question that anybody might have.
That was funny because I've been on his lives when there's 20 people, and I've been on his lives when there's 800. I'm like, whoa! And I do this. Since I don't know what's going on, I do the silliest things. Like one day he was talking about, well, HBH is going to do this, so I put in the chat, all right, I just bought $1,000 worth of honey baked ham. What do I do with it? That's not what I'm talking about. So I go in there just to be a knucklehead sometimes, and then I and out. But sometimes I don't catch him because sometimes he's on a 30-minute break and it's just his cat on the screen. So I'll be in there for 15 minutes. I'm like, he's on an extended break. I'm out of here.
Yeah, sometimes that can happen. You just happen to miss me or whatever. But or my fiance Bryce, she might be on stream sometimes. But yeah, stop by anytime. I welcome everyone. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Ask any question. I answer any trading questions, investing questions. You can ask me about my positions, meaning like what trades am I in at the moment, whether like for like a longer time period or a shorter time period. Like for example, at this point in time, I'm short the NASDAQ, so I make money as the QQQ ETF drops. That'll be like an example of a position that I'm in.
Yes, because me and DeAndre know exactly what the QQQ is.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm just shaking my head like, yeah, man, I got you. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, well, yeah. And like I said, feel free to come on stream anytime and I'll answer. No question is stupid.
He is one of the most accessible people that talk about the stocks that I've ever seen in my life. One of the most accessible people. And well, the charisma helps too. He's not going to bore you. He's not going to bore you to death with numbers.
Hopefully not.
No, you do very well. I do notice a difference in when I went on your lives earlier in your training till now. We don't have to say we're training, but earlier in your training till now. So I have noticed that uptick. So I love it, man. You are rocking and rolling. Teaching people while making money yourself is something I would.
And some days it's less, some days it's more. I've never claimed to be the greatest trader in the world, but I get by. And hopefully we can just keep on building and getting better and better and better. And let's see each other at the top.
You know, right? This is not the last time you're gonna be on the process or any of my
absolutely
13.
I enjoy meeting here.
Dude, I was just thinking that we definitely have to have you back on here because I have so many more questions that I want to ask to even just break things down a little bit more. But we do this. We have a segment on the show we call Weekly Wins, where
Weekly
weekly
wins.
wins.
Yes.
Weekly
What weekly
wins,
win
huh?
is, man, is just with all the chaos that goes on in the world, oftentimes people don't focus or they don't see the little things that happen. They focus on just what went wrong. And so on weekly wins, we like to talk about one thing that has happened so far during the week that is a win for you. So I'll kick it off. My
Wait, hold on.
weekly
Wait, hold on, DeAndre. I want to add something to it this week. Everyone who's in the chat that wants to participate, go ahead and put your weekly win after DeAndre tells his weekly
yeah,
win. So
please.
see what we're talking about, and we'll post that on here and kind of give you a shout out. Go ahead, DeAndre.
Yeah, so my weekly win is we've started production for a play or rehearse. We've been rehearsing for a play that I'm a part of. It's called Hank Williams' The Lost Highway. And this is my first theater show. I'm stepping into the world of theater and art. And we've started it. We have a day. Our opening night is July 22nd. At call time is at 6:30. So that is my weekly win where, rehearsal and production, everything is like coming in full swing. So I'm super pumped for
Congratulations.
that. So you guys are next. What are your, Keanu, what's your weekly win?
My weekly win. All right. My weekly win is we are 4 hours away. And I'm counting this because it is what? Thursday. And I know we're gonna. I'm not gonna say hope. We're gonna do this by the end of the day tomorrow. If we get 4 more hours of watch content, my weekly win we will have 400 hours of watch.
4,000
on
4,000, right?
No. We'll have 400 hours of watched content on YouTube. I know that doesn't sound big when you're talking about 4,000, which is YouTube requirement, but we've been doing lives only for 2.5 months now.
Oh, wow.
And we're at 400 watched hours, and that's a weekly win for me. And we are 43 subscribers away from getting to 400. 500 was my goal for the year, and we're almost at 500, and we're only in we're about to be in July. So I know that was a lot, but that's
that's awesome. Congratulations.
This week. Yeah. I'm gonna catch Weenie. He's at 8.3 thousand subscribers. I'm gonna catch. And Weenie, you know of this because every YouTuber knows of this. 18% of people who watch my material subscribe, everybody. So please make sure
hit the sub button, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate that, man.
I want to hear
Tony's give us a shout out on your show.
Go ahead, Weenie.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So my weekly win, actually. So I've been I've got 2 mentors. I've got one mentor for my trading. That's Romulus. I've got another mentor that's in fitness and business. And I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but his name is Brandon Carter. And my weekly win was that he shouted me out. He shouted out Weenie Trades on the Fresh and Fit podcast. And that just really just hit home. It hit my heart because he was this guy that I looked up to for many years, over a decade of following him. And just seeing the person that you look up to so much say such kind words about you on a stream with, 4,000 people, it really just like hit home. And so that was not just a weekly win, probably a monthly win. And what a way to have a monthly win when the end of the month is here.
Oh yeah, that's
dude,
right.
That is awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Weenie, you did the same thing for me. I came on yours. Well, I didn't come on, but the first time I said something to you in your chat, you, without me asking him to, I just said, "Hey, what's going on, Weenie?" And he was like, "Hey, Keone Productions." And then I told him who I was, and it was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Hey guys, go to," and he pulled my stuff up within 3 seconds, and my subscribers jumped 20 just off. So,
dude,
you guys are putting out really good content, and good content should be rewarded, and it will be rewarded in time.
Yeah, man, guys, we reached that time. We really appreciate you, Greg, so much for coming on to the show. I greatly appreciate you for taking time out of your day and your trading to spend time with us and just give us some little nuggets to share a little bit about your story. I am very humbled and appreciative that you would take that time. So, man, thank you so much for being on the show. I will be jumping into one of your live stream because I need to know about it.
Yes, send me a DM and we can arrange a time. I had a blast here too, you guys. I'm glad it went so smoothly. You guys asked great questions. You guys are learning. I'm learning from you guys as well. I look up to you guys. I always respect my elders as well.
Whoa, shots fired. Let me tell you something. How old are you, Weenie?
How old do you think I am?
24.
Yeah. yeah. I turned 24 a couple months ago.
All right, well, I'm 28 on Facebook. So
okay. There you go.
Too crazy. Okay.
There you go. How old are you, DeAndre?
I am 32 years young, man. I'm getting younger.
Damn.
Yeah. Hey, you guys look great.
Old. God,
well, guys, this has been awesome. Everyone, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. We appreciate the great questions. Man, we'll be back here next week. We actually have a great show lined up next week. It's going to be a good one. You do not want to miss next week. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in. We all wish and hope that you have a blessed rest of the week. We're signing off. Salute you guys. Appreciate it.
Take care, you guys.